Hal here, more space engineers, and today I'm just watching a Sentinel fly by. Now, he shouldn't get close enough to actually engage anything over here, but, you know, never hurts to see what the opposition looks like. Alright, so let's talk about what we're doing today. We're actually going to change up things, because originally I had been talking about expanding the asteroid base a little bit to put some defense platforms in. And I think with what we have, because of the way that the AI works, we're not really going to have to worry too much about this area being raided. We also have a lot of supplies up here, like specifically power. So I'm not expecting once we're off of the rock to really need to be worried too much about what's going on up here. So I think we're going to leave it as is for now. And with all of the things that are spawning, I think it's actually a good time to get down to the Earth-like planet. So that's what we're going to work on today. And so I'm going to try something. Now, I don't know if this is going to work. It doesn't usually, but it's been a while since I tried. So let's see if we can get this to work the way I'm hoping. Let's take a look at, you are small block, you are large block. I might go with small block. I haven't decided yet. So what I'm thinking here, that might be too large of a connector for here. What I'm curious about, let's disable the bobs so that they're not going absolutely crazy on us here. I guess we can turn those off too, because we're going to be building a lot of parts, and I don't want the bobs stealing parts. You actually got closer than I thought you would. Alright, so you're already going out, which is fine. Alright, so eventually, that's what I figured. I was hoping we'd be able to get away with having that be positioned so that we could, so we could actually use this to square up on the ship, or on the station, but oh well. Alright, so that means we're going to need to do it the other way, which is we're going to bring, actually, you know what? I think we're going to start here, because this is the middle. So let's go 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6, 7. Alright. And if we pop up, we should be able to rotate you around. And now, if we did that right, yep, we did it right. Okay. Oh, so what this is going to do is this is actually going to give us the back frame. And I guess I should actually figure out, do I want to do this with a large grid or a small grid? I think I actually want to do this with a small grid. Because if I do this as a small grid build, that'll force us not to put anything except for like a survival kit on it. We won't be able to put any industrial stuff. I mean, I could always just say no industrial stuff, but that takes some of the fun out of it, I think. You know? Alright, so if we do small grid instead. what I could do is, if we're going to do a small grid, let's take this back 2 blocks and do an advanced router? Sure, let's do an advanced router. And I want 0 to be forward. We're going to take out the rotor part. And we are going to grab the incomplete advanced rotor. We're going to add a small rotor head to it. And we are going to rename this to be, let's say, let's call it the shipyard advanced rotor. All right. I still haven't decided what we're going to call this area, but for now that works for a placeholder. All right, so that means we can now do that. 2, 3, 4, 5, 6, 7. Should give us a good basis for clearance, and then basically this will be where the design starts. Now this is going to be a utility craft, and I should go ahead weld that up. Alright, so if we do that, where are we? Really? Alright, come here, you. Alright, so what we're going to do is we're going to drop all of the stuff we just picked up. We're going to add, going to subtract, or withdraw. And what we're going to do is we're going to plug this in, and we are going to apply tensor and rotor lock. And that should keep it from moving around, so we don't have to worry about, as we start unbalancing things, it won't rotate, at least in theory. Okay, so if we're saying that's our baseline for the bottom of the hull, this is actually going to be a fairly large ship, so what we may end up doing is partway through this, I may go, I need steel plates, I put all my steel plates in. What may happen is I will probably end up doing a bit of a time lapse at some point. Not sure when, but I'll let you know. So what I'm thinking is that I want something big enough that we can actually use for habitation, which I don't know if I have. I don't think I have any of the small block beds installed, so I'll have to add that, which means I'll have to remember to keep things piped so that we can actually get something in here. All right, so because we're going small grid, it's going to be a bit bigger than probably want, but that's okay. Because what we're going to end up with is we're going to have something with, I don't know, 6 large containers maybe? And then 4 large hydrogen tanks, because this will be a hydrogen build. And what I want to do is have a bit of stuff inside. We'll have a little bit of an engineering area. And then I will probably add, there's a mod that will allow us to do a small grid gravity generator, but I think it's a even number of blocks. I don't remember. It's been a long time since I used it. But we're gonna go with a centerline keel, so it will be an odd number of blocks wide instead of 2 blocks on the center line. And I'm trying to remember, because the last time I used that block, I want to say it was 4 by 4 by 1. So if we do a center line of 2, you know what? Let's do the center line of 2 because that'll make it a little easier to balance the ship, I think. You're gonna come back that way. Come on. Now the big thing is that this ship will have a shield on it, mainly because of the fact that, well, we kind of have to have shields on a small grid ship. Otherwise, even small weapons fire can cut the ship in half. So that is something we're going to have to... Oh, look, a Reaver. Are you heading this way? Oh, crap, I think you're heading this way. Well, I mean, I know you're heading this way, but are you actively heading to us? It doesn't look like you're heading directly for us, but I'm not sure what you might be aiming for. So if you remember that small ship that we found, that we turned the antenna like max gain and then fired it off on with all of the thruster overrides. Yeah, so these guys have been chasing that since it's broadcasting for, you know, some ridiculous range. But because the way the spawners work is that it spawns within a set range of an active player, it spawns near us. And I should have probably fired it in a different direction. But we'll see how this goes. So if it goes after anything first, it may go after that mining station over there. That's about the closest thing I can think of that it might attack. And if it does go after that, then we're in trouble, because then it will probably come after us. Actually, it looks like it's flying away from it, so it's not going to go after it. And it looks like it's kind of cutting it towards us, so we'll see how that all goes. Let's get some power first. And hey, look, Reaver encounter spawned. Lovely. All right. Okay, so what we're planning on for the ship that we're currently building, I'll just kind of peek our heads out without peeking our heads out. So what we want to do is I'm going to have a small engineering section. We're going to have a spawn point in it, so we will have a survival kit. And then we're going to have an emergency rations system on board, as well as a little bit of power storage. I'm thinking maybe 4 small batteries. I'll be surprised if we go that high, because with the fuel tanks that we're planning, I'm thinking that we're not going to need quite so much power, especially since we're going to have some hydrogen engines on board. So I'm thinking that we may end up with something a little bit bigger than what we might actually be planning, but we'll see how that works out. But primarily, I want to make sure that we have at least 4 large cargoes, since we're going small grid. Ideally 6, or the ability to add them on modularly. Sorry, I just keep getting distracted by this Reaver getting closer. Because he's coming in at a high angle, if we need to deploy the hug boat, that at least will bring it out with most of our weapons pointed in the general right direction. Man, I need to set up some crybabies out there. It's basically a signal spoofer. If we build a couple of small grids with antennas, we can put a sensor on them and have them basically act like some of the unknown signals, where when you get close to them, it turns the overrides on, like the gyros or thrusters overrides. And maybe be able to use something like that as a active decoy. Well, it's a passive decoy until it goes active. Alright, so can we try to see if we can get an angle here so we can see this guy? Nope. Okay. So he is there. That looks like he changed directions. I think he changed directions. Alright, so what we're going to do is we're going to move this ship out the way. Yeah, I'm thinking he changed directions. I'm seriously thinking he changed directions. I had to check to make sure my antennas were off. Like, because this could end up being pretty bad. Because if the Reaver gets inside of like about 3 kilometers or so, I have a feeling he's going to attack. And he is close enough that I'm actually worried about it. Yep, he detected us. Okay, we've got an incoming threat. But now we do have to be somewhat careful coming out here. And see what I just said. I wasn't planning on. I didn't want to build more platforms over here. But you know what? We might have to. Have an incoming drone detected. And hey, buddy boy, how you doing? We're gonna get a little bit of side drift going. Hey, look at that. Well, that was ridiculously effective. Okay. And most importantly, well, we don't have any indication that the Reavers were able to actually report our location. So that should give us a little bit of time. And you can actually see both sides of our station, which is good. Okay. Everything's looking good. So what I may do is I may actually just park this thing out in front. And that'll give us a little bit more room so that we can actually maneuver whatever ship we end up building. And this thing doesn't have a whole lot of need to be attached to the station right now. Once our shields and everything settle down, that actually gives us a little bit of extra coverage. Because this thing definitely has a whole lot of firepower. Now, the reason I'm not trying to convert the ship to go into atmosphere is that retrofitting it to make it trans-atmospheric would not be good. the amount of work we would have to put in, we'd basically have to be rebuilding the ship anyway. And the idea is that once we have the new transport online, this thing, we're not going to say we're going to forget about it, but we'll have it on basically base defense. Alright, so I think for here, this is probably good. And check. We're mostly level. Like I said, it's go ahead and turn the lights off, and that adds a ridiculous amount of power. I love the spotlights, but they do just kind of suck your battery life away. Alright, so if we do that, let's do this. We're going to continue around, we'll reposition the ship. Drop this down just a little bit. I basically am just trying to get in a position so that if I do need to get in here quickly, we're not navigating all over the place. We're basically just running in through the back door. Alright, no, because you do actually have a gravity generator on you. I do need to be aware of which direction everything is pointing. Alright, I think that for the most part should be okay. Actually, are you... So you are processing a bunch of stuff, including uranium. That's going to be... Okay, so you're actually just producing uranium. Alright, that's actually good. We're going to move all this stuff over, including the stone. I want you to go there. And you actually have a ridiculous amount of material on board. Alright. Let's bring it in right about there. Should be good. Basically want the ship mostly inside the envelope provided by the shields on the asteroid. Now, the one thing I'm worried about is that if one of the high-end, like almost boss, I guess you call them a mini boss, reavers show up, we could be seeing something with a very large weapon that might be able to just blow straight through their shields. They do exist. Thankfully, we haven't really been running into them, but they are something to keep aware of. Alright, so we've got 2 days of power in a holding pattern here. Let's turn the lights off, because we have enough light on board as well as on the station. Don't need to worry about it. Now we're going to go this way. Alright. And that basically helps cover that area. Okay, so now that that's taken care of, we can move this beast back up. We'll move this out of the way. I'm probably going to move, I might even move this back there just to keep it completely out of the way for right now. Love this little ship though. This little thing is nice. What we're going to do is the small miner is going to go with us. So I'm going to have an area that I can at least attach that to, since it is a hydrogen ship. We can use that transatmospherically. How's that for light? Alright. So we'll park you back here for now. And in the case we do have to get you out of here quickly, I'll point you this way. Not that I would actually take this, I would actually use the escape shuttle, but we can go with that for now. Alright, and that'll get us, actually how much if I turn those lights off? Not a whole lot of difference there, huh? Yeah, it's fun. Hey, look, a parallax. I haven't seen one of those in a while. Okay. Alright, so let's get this... let's get this ship underway here, shall we? Okay, so... we're saying that we're going to do a double wide keel, which means we're going to need that to go 2, 3, 4. And that's also going to come out. We did 4 on that side, 4 on that side. Okay. So that gets us our middle. And then I need, let's see here, you are a large grid. Let's get rid of you and we will get, so, connector junction might not be bad. I'm wondering, let's see what a connector junction looks like, and then we know what that one looks like. I want to see what the small grid version of this is. Oh, that's cute. Okay. So that is actually rather tiny. That's cool. And then that is ridiculously large. Okay. But I can't... It's interesting I can't flip that vertical. I can only rotate it. So that has to be mounted on the face of a block? That's interesting. I don't know that I agree with that design choice, but... Alright. So basically I'll have to have an area that I set up with that in mind. I mean, I guess we could if we just wanted to be... So if we do that, then that means we can have a U. How many blocks are you? See, it's kind of irritating that I can only rotate this on one axis. Because what I would like to do is be able to have it side mount on something like that. Alright, so... Are you an odd number of blocks? Looks like you're 1 block there, 2 blocks there. So 1 block on either side. So yeah, you're technically an even number of blocks, but you're an odd shape. So maybe we will go with just a single center line. I mean, it's not a huge issue if we do. I just have to decide early so we can plan everything else. You know what? Let's go ahead and do a single block center line. Basically, this will let me when we go to load the other mod for the small gravity generator, we can deal with that. If it's off by 1 block, it's not a huge thing. What I'll probably do is just change it. I'll probably end up repositioning the whole thing, but that's okay. Alright, so that means we now have a 3 by here. Now remember, that is the 3 blocks is the minimum that you're going to want for any type of walking. Realistically, you probably want to plan on something being 5 blocks wide. Just for most of the doors, even for small blocks or small grids, are built on a 5 wide footprint. So it's usually a good idea to plan accordingly. So we're going to go, you are the walk level there. Actually, you know what? Can we do, I don't think we have any stairs for small grids, do we? No, which means we'll have to build one, which isn't actually a problem. So let's move this up 1 so that it's a little bit higher than the floor. And what we'll do is we'll have a can I get, okay, so you actually do build to there, so we can get away with something like this, which means we do that. And then I can get rid of the stuff in the middle. That should keep that whole thing in place. Alright. So if I take this stuff out, and that should let us in. It does. I'll move that later. Really just trying to keep this whole thing stuck to the ship. Alright, so that gets us a way in and out. Now I do want to check the sides. Not seeing anything. So it looks like the only area that we actually have to attach stuff is going to be in the hallway area. Right, so let's go ahead, grab that. I'm gonna weld you up really quick because I want to verify. Yeah, so it looks like the only place we have is right here, because what I'm gonna do is we're going to put a door behind this. Probably. Let's see what we got here. Could do this, or maybe a rotary airlock. Having the rotary airlock would be nice. I mean, the ship is already going to be modded. Alright, so if we do passageway door, we could do something like that. You'd actually have to come back 1. Come back 2 maybe. Because what I need is for that, I need the piping on this thing to be able to get around the door. And so I could do either one of these. And if I did these, then what we need to do is have doorway, then a couple of blocks, another doorway, and then it'll be where the step down. So if we do a doorway there, we'd have to have, see, that conveyor just doesn't seem to match up. Because if we do a I'm wondering how this ties into the network, because that block, we can't build into that. So where does the connector need to tie to? Does it just tie to that block directly? Where the hell does this connect? Because all the passageway stuff is large grid. Except this one. So this one does, because this one I know has connectors on it. Like, we just can't do anything with it. So they're saying that it's like that one, but different. So I'm wondering is if we do, I'm wondering if that means that there's a connector above and below the passageway. So if we take you out, so one of these two sides is going to have, man, really needs a visual indicator of where it needs to connect to. Come here. See, and unfortunately those are all large grid only. You're large grid only, so I have to use the. Alright, so if we do this.
Your battery level will be low on the next.
And see, unfortunately we can't get anything in there, which would be nice if we could, because then we could just run conduit output. Alright, so what I'll do then is let's plan. We'll plan for this to go here and see if that lets us tie in. Because if we do that, then we can run the door. So if we go door here, yes, that'll go over the over the top of the doorway. The question is do I want to go? Why are you suddenly there? But you don't like that, huh? Why don't you like that? That's really weird. Is that because there's nothing on the bottom for you to attach to? So if we do that, yeah, okay. So if we go doorway there, so that should be big enough to, that should be big enough to walk through. It seems to be stuck for some reason. Is it because of you? Or is it just because of that door? Alright, well, if the door wants to be tricky. Alright, so why are we unable to place the door? Ah, because it needs to come back one more. There we go. Alright,
Here,
so...
we see the space engineer in his natural habitat, about to key.
So yes, so it's because of the way that was piped in before. Okay. Which is fine. We can make this work. That's going to pipe up and over probably then. I know all this work just to figure out how to get in and out of the ship, right? Okay, so... And this will basically give us a way of charging the ship, not necessarily getting cargo off, because like I said, I don't know if this is going to work for that. I may put a regular connector back here, but there is a reason for this. I'm just trying to figure out how I want to do it. Alright, so if we go like so, we can get rid of the doors for now. And what I want is probably that. And I think we're actually going to drop that down one. Yes, I know, I'm almost out of power. Alright, let's go hop in the cockpit really quick. I probably should put a seat or something out here, but that's okay. Alright. Wait for our charge to rebuild. Now we're going for oxygen. Is that a parallax? Yeah. Right, so, got chunky there for a second. Alright, so let's see if we can... Alright, so I want you to be the... That's there, so I want you to be on a little lower than the ship. Alright, because if we do one there, and we'll do another one here. Does that put them on the same line? It does. Okay. And that allows us to have basically a 5-block wide, so we'll be able to fill this in. And then I'm thinking we'll have some tanks up ahead. See, unfortunately these guys are large only, so we're gonna have to use those. Let's grab these because I do need, we'll need some oxygen tanks. Those are the small hydrogen tanks. Let's go like so. So I could attach them straight in, which I don't think I want to do. I think I want to have those come up a bit. So we're going to have a conveyor on them. So let's go... How do I want to do this? I may actually put the hydrogen tanks to the rear. Hydrogen tanks is probably good in the middle. Man, see. So many options. So if we do hydrogen tanks that way. I could do 6 per side. And then that would give me a whole lot of lift. So let's try that. Let's see what that looks like. I do like the way that the cargo was looking, but now we're going to have these on basically the same height as where the cargo is going to be. 2, 3, and then we potentially could have a second set out here. Or we could stack them. I'm kind of liking the idea of stacking them, I think. So it would look like something. It would look something like that. All right. Well, let's try this a different way. All right. And what I'd do is I would probably drop the lower tanks down 1, maybe even 2, and then drop the upper tanks down 1. Because you're going to have them vertical stored like this. Or do one with the cargo and then have these midship. I think I'm going to go this way. And the reason for this is so that I can put large thrusters on this for lift back here. And I won't even have to put on all of them. But we then also have room for expansion in the case we need it. Okay, so you are there. Yeah. We'll check that in a minute. Make sure everything is lined up. You're lined up. And you are on point with each other. Okay. And then we end up with a second set here. All right. Okay, I'm liking that. So let's grab our cargo block. And like I said, I think we've got it where we want it as far as that's concerned. We just need to get things in line here. And that is going to come up a bit. So what we're going to end up with is, we want you to go 1, 2, 3, 4, 5. And go 1, 2, 3, 4, 5. So here-ish, maybe. So you end up with something, well, something like that. There you go. Then we're going to do the same on this side. And like I said, we will come back and cut some of this out so that we can get things together in here, but for now this will work. And yeah, there. there, and there. I may decide later to rotate the one in the middle here so that the large connector is off to the side. And then that way what we'd be able to do is put a, or I should say conveyor connection off to the side. And that way we can put a large, or just a regular docking collar on it. So we can actually transfer stuff on and off the ship. Alright. So that would be that area. That means 1, 2, 3, 4, 5. Whoop. Okay, we're able to get through there. And then here we're going to end up with something like that. I'm going to stick my gyros back in there, under there, I think. And then we can go... let's just walk up. Yeah. All right. Come through. And then here we can do... I'm gonna do a... I want this to be, I think, to there. So this will actually be the wall area. And that'll be interior space. And I'll, like I said, I'll come through and I'll do some cleanup on this. Like that'll be changed into a different block. But I think that gets us about where we need to be. All right, so it's 1, 2, 3, 4, 5. We're gonna go 6 blocks up just because we can. Because even with artificial gravity mod, that's going to make it a little wonky. I mean, technically, I guess. Yeah, okay. I guess we can actually get away with having that there. But it does give me a chance to play around with some interior decorating. So it's very possible that that's going to come out. In fact, let's go ahead and plan for that, because if we do... Alright, so if we go... something like that. And then 2. So something like this, maybe? And you'll see why in a moment why I'm doing this, hopefully at least. Barring some just absolutely catastrophic failure or something.
Power low. Disconnecting browser. Disabling Netflix.
Right. Okay. And so that'll allow us to have basically a rounded hallway here. Let me see. Slide down here, connect you in. That means I can take this line out. And then let's go with that door there. And then I might put a connector or something in there. All right, so when you come up, and yeah, that'll work. All right, and like I said, we will have gravity on this thing at some point.
Remember how from 2001 they didn't keep you properly charged either?
Yep. Okay, that'll work. I think that'll work nicely. Gives us a nice doorway approach, and then we'll have some windows in here so that we can see our cargo levels, because I do have the mod one for cargo blocks showing how much capacity they have. And then I'm thinking here, small connector to a large connector. So what I'm thinking we may do is, let's bring out the conveyor stuff. Don't need any more tanks right now. We will bring some of those out in a bit. Thinking maybe this guy. So we do something like that on either side. And so since it has the various piping in here, what we can do is have that pipe into, you know, through here. And I'm thinking, oh, crap. Yeah, I know that the shield thinks it's pressurized, but oh, you get a couple of extra seconds. Oh, okay. So I think what we're going to do is, we've been recording this for about an hour, so I think we've pretty much explained what we're doing here. And I'm going to I'll probably have the engineer, like the hab and piloting space, we'll probably put up a floor. So let me go ahead, do a cut here. We'll do a little bit of a time lapse, and we'll come back and see what we have at the end of that. All right. So sit back, relax, and we should be right back.
It's not enough to feel alone and not be heard. Don't know right from wrong, and your lines have all been blurred. Is it me, is it you, or is it something I deserve? 'Cause everyone else knows the children of the world. We are the children of the world. We're going up, up, up. Things are coming our way. We are the children of the world. We're rising up, up, up. It's a brand new day. Whoa, 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 whoa. You know I played my part to a point where I was done. Now I fold my cards, game's done, and you had your fun. Is it me, is it you, or is it us you're running from? 'Cause everyone else knows the children of the sun. We are the children of the world.
And we're back. Alright, so a bit of a stretch. So let me walk you through what we're talking about here. Okay, so as we were saying before, we've got the hydrogen tanks for fuel storage. We've put a couple of O2 generators in because, well, we want them to be producing power fast enough to keep everything running if we can. We added in a couple of batteries to hold the charge. And then we've got oxygen tanks piped in off the small conveyor network. Now the idea is that nothing massive needs to go past the cargo containers, right? Everything else is just ice and gas. So the small cargo conveyors are fine. What we will probably need to do is set up an actual connector, and I'm thinking we're probably going to do one down on the bottom here. I may even do a second one on top. Now originally what I had wanted to do was have basically the control area here at the front, and then have a habitation area upstairs. But because of the way that we ended up going with the lines, I didn't like how high that was going to take it, because this would add another like 6 blocks up, and I really don't want to take it that far. So what we'll probably end up doing is using that as a greeble layer, and then seal off the interior of the ship. So I think what we're going to do for now is I'm going to move the hug boat back in, get it docked up, turn all of the bobs loose, and let them just basically weld all of this up. Most of it is going to be pretty quick, because like all of these armor blocks, they're only one armor plate. So yeah. But we did put a spawn in, so we actually have our emergency kit. We have, or survival kit, I should say. We put a couple of extension rings in here to get it out and away from the wall a little bit, and then we've got a small partition nook area. Actually, we can load this up and show you what that's going to look like. So, you know, we actually have these kind of pocketed in here, just to keep them out of the way. And I did have to rebalance this a little bit, so that we could actually get those detailed in like that. And then this will be our flight deck area, so this will be where actually our controls sit. Now I may come back and revisit this ship design later. I haven't decided yet. Like, we may end up putting up, say, like a detachable habitation module on the bottom of the ship, which wouldn't be a bad thing to basically have the ability to deploy a base. Now, this area back here will be pressurized. I did think about leaving this unpressurized and having this be the only real pressurized area, but I want to have it set up so that when you're walking through, all of this is actually pressurized. Just, yeah, you can't really think of why. I like the idea of having this be pressurized and then this be, you know, obviously habitation area is going to be pressurized. But I may rethink that. Because if I don't make this pressurized, what would I do with it? That's a good question. How would I handle this not being pressurized? I mean, it would make it much easier if it wasn't. Because if we did that, if we didn't pressurize that area, right, we left all that unpressurized, we could then put an entrance here. We'd have to take those seats out, but we could put an entrance here for sideboarding. And that would bring us directly into, but I would have to change this up a little bit in order to have this be accessible from the cabin. Oh, hells. How do we want to do that? That's the question. The more I think about it, the more I am actually kind of liking this idea of having this be an entrance. No, we're gonna leave it. We'll set it up so that this area is pressurized. We'll leave this be the little break area thing, so we have a place for people to sit down. We'll put some windows in over here. I may put a row of windows over that as well, and then we'll have this be the control area. Speaking of, let's get some of this in. See, we could actually use some of the like these guys. We could actually use the modular cockpit here. Which would end up with surfboard. I forgot about that. Okay. Let's see here. Where are you at? You're going to be at the end of everything, aren't you? Yep. All right. So we could have this be a thing. It's one block higher. So what we would end up with is something like this, maybe? So if we go, let's see, we did center line, so that's the center here, right? Yeah. So that's the center there. So if we went to one side, and we did so if we did that, maybe. Because that's the center there. So if we went one over and forward. And so you'd go there, so we'd bring that over to there.
You do realize I'm the one keeping you alive. Maybe you should keep my battery topped up with that in mind.
We'd have to find that one to there, right? I thought there was one with a console. Yeah, so that's the one with the console. So if we did that, but I thought there was one of these that had the console that was open on the back, not having the seat in it. I guess not. Alright. So you end up with that. And so that means we need this to come up one block, I think. Because we're going to have to basically crush this down a little. So if you're coming through, the seat would be there. So that's going to be sealed off. That'll be open. That'll be open. And maybe we could actually just build something out of it, but double seat center. It's kind of irritating that it doesn't actually show all of the blocks.
Sir, your energy is critical.
Yeah,
I'll come back when it's a disaster.
Oh, so what I may do is boost that up a couple of blocks. And then, yeah, because if I bring that up like 2 blocks, we should be able to get everything to fit the way I want it to. So let's recharge really quick. Get everything in and running again. And then what we'll do is just want to get to like 75% or so. How much oxygen are we running? Well, we're actually pretty good on oxygen. Alright, so that should be good. And what I'm thinking is that we'll use... take this out. So that needs to come up at least 1 block. So that that is flush with the top. Alright, so we're gonna have a roof area of at least that. And so that's gonna come forward. Plates again, huh? Alright, so let's go ahead and grab those. See if we can get most of this finished up before we call this a day. And then that's gonna have to come, let's see, it's 1, 2, 3, 4, 5. So let's put it here. Alright, that's the center line. So if that comes up one block, I want that to come forward 2 more blocks. Actually, I want that to come forward a bit further, honestly, but I guess that works. Because it's only 1 block out. Alright, so if we do that, and to there, yeah, like I said, I could swear there used to be a spacer block that was in there. You're sort of, I'm not worried about you. Okay. Alright, so that gets us, what's that get us? We come in, we'll have a seat here, we'll have a seat here, console in the middle. Alright. And that allows us, I might actually do 2 consoles in the middle. And maybe a 3rd seat. Because if we split this off a little bit wider, it'll make it easier to seal it up. So if we take those and we say, there we go. So if we do seat in the middle, do a console there, console there. Right, everything should be matched up, yeah. Yeah, okay. Do that. And that. So it gives us 3 seats. 1 in the middle, 1 to either side, consoles in between, in betwixt even, and then we can run whatever we want to close this in. Alright, so I'm thinking that's going to be, probably do little steps like this, because it's not actually going to walk up to it, so I'm not really worried about being able to get into it. We just want to be able to get this sealed in, which is going to then be something like that maybe. And the same on this side. And then up here, I think for that one, what we're going to do is do, what are they called? Armor panels. And I think for here, we can get away with doing, let's do heavy armor sloped. So that's going to be, get rid of that. Would you actually be sealing where we need you to be sealing? No, you wouldn't. Because you're an odd shape. Alright. Okay, so then I guess we're going to have to do are you maybe a 2x1 block? Yeah, you're a 2x1. Alright, so if we did that. Nope. you are the oddball block that is in... No, you are in here. No, you're not in there anymore. Okay, so you have been moved to here. Yep, there it is. That. Which is actually okay. That means we can bring that in this way. And I want to do the same on the bottom. Because if I do the same on the bottom, it'll end up being like that. Which opens us up to a couple of potential things here. So we do that. Let me flip you around there. Right. Okay, so now if we're inside, that's a half block there, so we could then say something like this, maybe. And we'll have to do the same on this side. So I'm not sure. Oh, I'm not sure that this is going to be airtight if I do this. So we'll experiment with it really quick. Upper portion I'm not worried about because that we can make airtight fairly easily. In fact, what I would probably do there is just do something like that. Might put some windows in up here or something. And we did one. So that's 1, 2, 3, 4, 5. Right. So for you are also going to need to be there, which means I'm going to have to change that door out for the middle mounted door, which is fine. But I'm out of plates. Okay. More plates. Alright, so that should at least... Oh no, I had plates. Was I just standing in the area? I guess I was probably standing in the area. Alright, so I think that's going to about do it for us. I think we have basically what we need at this point. And you're going to go... We're just going to start you from there. I'll probably take that block out and do the taper on it. I just want to see how it hurts, because actually, no, it should be airtight at that point. Okay. So yeah, it should be okay. And then you guys are actually that block. And you're going to then go back to this block. And again, like I said, I'm not certain this will hold atmosphere, but we're going to try. And we'll see how this all plays out. So, and I'm not too...
You do realize I'm the one keeping
put
you
out
alive.
by having
Really
that
need to keep my
be
batteries
sealed
up
for
there.
now.
That's
Like I
all.
said, I really just wanted to see if I can get this to hold an atmosphere. That's my big concern. Alright, so you are that way. Because I didn't do that on the other side. And okay, and then that leaves us with this. And then basically a large portion of the stuff here can go away. And what we'll need to do is come back through and clean up some of this underbody work. Like this can go away. And we'll go ahead and sculpt this down. Alright. And I'm thinking for you guys, and instead of that, let's go, nope, I have to go with that one. Oh no, because that one should be airtight. Right? Yeah, so I can't put a block there. But what we can do is take this guy and do that. And then that allows us to open up this area.
So, your energy is critical.
Where
I'll
we
come back
can
when it's a disaster.
do these. Alright. And so now we're going to get Bob over here, let him start welding some of this stuff up, and I'll figure out the rest of the sculpting on this. But other than that, once everything's welded, we can take this thing down to the planet. And I need to get thrusters in, which I'm probably going to run over the top here. So we'll have our, maybe even off to the side. I mean, I could throw a thruster in here and have it piped in off of this device, but we'll figure that out. And I am going to go ahead and wrap this up because this has been multiple hours of recording. So I want to thank you all for stopping in. Hopefully you enjoyed it. If you did, you know the routine. Like I said, when we come back next time, this should be welded up, and we'll probably be working on thruster placement. And then I also, like I said, I do want to get a test done on making this thing airtight. So what we'll do is I'll wait until we come back next time to pressurize the ship. But I'll go ahead and get it welded up, and we'll start working on trying to patch any holes that we find. Alright, so on that note, I hope everybody has a fantastic day. Enjoy your week, and we will see you back here next time for more Space Engineers. As always, folks, take care and be safe out there, everybody.